Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. My name is Plami, and in this episode of Plami's Thoughts On, I'm gonna be sharing my thoughts on The Walking Dead's Season 10 finale, A Certain Doom. I'm also gonna be doing reviews of Fear the Walking Dead's first episode and The Walking Dead World Beyond's first two episodes because I've already seen those. And those are going to be in separate videos, so if you're interested to check that out, subscribe to the channel so you'll see whenever I post the videos, which is most likely going to be straight up right after this one, so you can see it very fast. And I have a lot to say about both of them, so yeah, I'm very excited to talk about all of these things. So, this finale was actually pretty decent. My opinion of it has definitely changed from my initial viewing because my perspective of it and how good it is has shifted because of the episodes of Fear and World Beyond, and you know why if you see those episodes. I'd recommend to check out at least Fear the Walking Dead's first episode of its sixth season because it was actually pretty interesting. But we're here gonna be talking. Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. My name is Plami, and in this episode of Plami's Thoughts On, I'm gonna be sharing my thoughts on The Walking Dead's Season 10 finale, A Certain Doom. If you're curious, I'm also gonna be doing reviews of Fear the Walking Dead's first episode and The Walking Dead's World Beyond as first two episodes, so if you're interested in that, subscribe to the channel. The videos are most likely going to be posted right after this one, so you're not going to have to wait too long. But yeah, talking about the finale of Season 10 of The Walking Dead. I'm actually going to be doing a full season review of this and of the whole show in general because I just want to get out some of the thoughts that I've had about this series. I want to get them out on my YouTube channel. I just don't know when I'm gonna do it because I just don't have the time, you know. I do so many different things on my YouTube channel and I'm so busy in my personal life and everything. So it's gonna be a while. But the one thing that you should know about Season 10 and how I feel about it is that in general I feel like the season wasn't bad. It definitely wasn't as good as Season 9, but it wasn't bad. The main thing that I dislike about it is that there are so many moments in it where what they did was good, like I enjoyed what they did, but I felt like they could have done so much more. Like the Battle of Hilltop. What they did, what we saw was dope. But then it was way too short, and I feel like this is the first season in which a lack of budget is definitely felt in the show because the battle was way too short. Like they stopped all of it at the end of the previous episode, and then in the next one, after like 5 minutes, it's done. Like everybody was so hyped to watch it. Like I expected at least like 20 minutes worth of fighting or something like that. And that pretty much rings true for this episode as well. I think the main moment where it feels like that is the battle with Beta. It was just way too short. In a certain way, I don't mind how short it was because I did not expect that. I expected them to have a more of an all-out brawl, but instead they just use their advantage, the fact that Beta didn't know Daryl was close by, so Negan distracted him and Daryl just came in, stabbed him in the eyes, and that was it. In a certain sense, it's not bad, but it also leaves you a little bit underwhelmed, you know? And in general, there was a surprising lack of deaths in this episode. I mean, I'm not the person necessarily that complains whenever there's not enough death or anything like that. I feel like there's times when there should be death and there's times when there shouldn't be. I just feel like maybe a little bit the lack of death kind of hindered the episode because it was like, okay, most of them survived. Because otherwise, like there was this huge horde. You felt like the stakes were super high, but then almost nobody died. Like one D-level character that we barely know died, and like, sure, her death was pretty scary, but I don't know, like it didn't do much for me. Like it wasn't bad, but like it just felt like the episode didn't have as much weight in that regard. I don't know. Maybe there should have been some character like Jerry or Luke that should have died. And it's not like I want the characters to die. Like I love the actors, I love the characters, I enjoy them, and I like how for the last two seasons they've basically kind of baited us quite a few times with a lot of these characters thinking that they're gonna die, but then they don't die. Because then when it actually happens, you probably would not expect it, or it's gonna make it hit harder. And that is similar for the big character that I thought was actually going to die in this episode, aka Gabriel. Because he's also had a few close calls. There was the episode, I think, in which Beta got into Alexandria. I thought that he was probably gonna die in that episode because of some moments he had with Rosita. Like, it painfully felt like that was gonna happen, but then he didn't die. And now the same thing. It was actually he was much closer to death in this episode, but again he didn't die. And in a certain way, I kind of like how they're making us think that these characters are gonna die and kind of hyping us to see the death, but then it doesn't happen. And then eventually, when it actually happens, it's actually gonna stink harder, I feel like, for me. I know that some people might say that constantly tricking us into a character, that the character is going to die, is kind of cheapens their death, similar to how Glenn's death might have been cheapened a little bit by the dumpster fire shit. I don't necessarily agree. Like, to me, it doesn't really matter too much, and if anything, maybe it enhances it a little bit. But I can definitely see the other side of the argument. But anyway, he doesn't die, and but the scene was even though he didn't die, the scene was actually pretty good. I love the music in this episode. It was amazing. I have pointed out, not in videos like on Reddit, how much I love that the music is back into The Walking Dead, because I feel like in season 7 and 8 and maybe 6 even and 5 and 4 even, you could go as far, I feel like music wasn't playing as much of a role as it used to. But I've been loving how much music they're using in like season 9 and 10. So this was definitely one of those episodes which the music definitely made so much better. And I love the music during that moment with Gabriel, how emotional and powerful and dramatic it was. And then it switched to a fast-paced action music for when that guy with the twin axis thing, I don't know what it's called, that kind of weapon, who came in and saved Gabriel and killed those whispers like a badass. I actually like how much of a badass he is, and literally when I watched the episode, I was like, they barely clutched that. Like, he barely survived that. I enjoyed it, even though he didn't die. I enjoyed it, but I definitely think maybe he should have died. Maybe they should have. Because if you haven't read the comics, and this is a spoiler, so you can skip a little bit further if you don't want to be spoiled about it, but in the comics, Gabriel dies by Beta stabbing him in the gut and spilling out his guts. Kind of like how Spencer died by Negan on the show. So it could have been interesting if Gabriel died in this episode in that same vein, even though it wasn't going to be by Beta. Or maybe they could have even done Beta. Because otherwise, Beta didn't really do much in this episode, surprisingly enough. And it didn't really bother me when I watched it, and even now it doesn't bother me, but now that I think about it, it's kind of disappointing that he just didn't do much. He just walked with the walkers for a little while and died. I don't know. Now that I think about it, maybe it could have been cool. Because otherwise, why would he use the walkers? He should have gotten into the building. He should have been one of those whisperers that got up, and he should have pulled Gabe's guts out. And then when Beta didn't find him in the tower, he should have gone out, and then the stuff with Negan, Darrow, and Beta should have happened, I feel like. And that's just something that I came on the spot. I actually wasn't thinking about this before starting to record this video. What else? I liked all the Lydia and Carol stuff. I know most of you probably know about the spin-off that is gonna feature Darrow and Carol. And definitely, there's been a lot of people who have complained about the reveal of this spin-off because now we know that Carol and Daryl are not gonna die in the next 2 seasons. And honestly, I'm not so sure. I know that AMC is not smart enough to do this, but maybe they're just doing this as a ploy to make us think that they wouldn't kill him. Or at least that's how I felt in that scene, where Carol was leading the walkers towards the edge. I genuinely considered there for a second that maybe AMC just said that this spin-off was gonna feature Daryl and Carol as a way to make us believe that they're gonna be fine, that they're gonna survive. But then they actually end up killing Carol in the finale. I think maybe that could have been cool. It definitely would have added some impact to this episode because um, otherwise it's a good episode, but not that impactful one. I feel like it's not a bad finale, but it just doesn't have as much punch as it should have probably. Especially considering we waited quite a few months for it, like half a year pretty much, and I've commented even on Reddit that it's unfair to put the weight we had to endure for this episode against the episode because the episode was never meant to air a year or half a year after the previous episode. It was always meant to air like the next week, so we can expect something like the season 5 premiere or the season 6 mid-season finale or the season 7 premiere. We shouldn't expect something from like that from this episode, but there's definitely ways that they could have hyped it up a little bit. And it honestly surprised me that this episode wasn't longer. Like, it was fairly short, actually. I think maybe even shorter than most episodes. I don't know, really. I haven't compared the length of the episodes, but there's definitely an element of it where it did felt a little bit rushed. Um, like, there was so much stuff that had to happen, but they didn't really have the time to do so, which is kind of annoying because for a huge part of the season there wasn't that much happening. There was some things that they could have cut and focused on different things. Like there's definitely some complaints I have about this season as a whole that also apply to this episode. But ultimately, I think it was good. Like, I'm glad that I can actually enjoy the season, even though I have some problems with it. Um, oh, I almost forgot to talk about this, about the Lydia and Carol scene. Like, Lydia has been one of my favorite characters since she was introduced. Her actress is amazing. She's probably the best teenage actress. I mean, I think the actress is like 20, 19? I think she's probably 20 at this point. I don't know. Haven't looked it up. She's definitely there. But she's probably one of the best actresses or actors from that age range that we've had on the show. She's amazing. Like I buy her whole character, and she's so good, especially in the emotional scenes. Like earlier this season, I think it was episode 4, Silence the Whispers, in which she had to undo shit from the some of the highwaymen who were left alive and Gage when they were beating her up at the White Blankets place. And in that scene, after Negan saves her, the way she's curled up uh, under towards Negan's leg and then Daryl, like the way she was acting in that scene, I love that. That felt so genuine. She's such a good actress. And in this episode, I love the scene between her and Carol at the edge of the cliff. That was really beautiful. I don't know if she was planning to sacrifice herself. I don't think she was, because some people thought that she was going to, but then Carol decided that she wasn't going to let that happen, was going to sacrifice herself, and then Lydia saved her. But I didn't really saw it like that. I thought she was just gonna lead the walkers towards the edge and just move back. I don't know. But I love their little scene at the end where Lydia saves her and they hug. Like, that was so fucking emotional, and I love that. And I love when she throws the mask over the cliff. That is definitely very obviously CGI. Like that whole sequence there is so CGI. But honestly, I'm gonna give them pass for that because they made it look beautiful. And also, one thing I want to ask: Since when is there a Grand fucking Canyon in Virginia? Like, I'm not American, so I don't know the geography there, but as far as I know, there isn't this kind of valley there. And again, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. If you're from America and you know, please tell me, is there this kind of a valley there? Because this seemed very fucking deep. This seemed like the Grand fucking Canyon. And I know this is a zombie show, so you shouldn't apply too much logic like this, like about locations and stuff, like this is fictional. But what? Like, that didn't bother me when I watched it, and it doesn't bother me now. It's just kind of like something when you think about it looks so and feels so stupid. But yeah, that whole scene looked very fake. So for all that talk that they had some VFX to do, so they waited like a few these whole months to be able to finish the episode. They didn't really do that good of a job, honestly. It wasn't terrible, as I said, at least it looked beautiful. To me, that's honestly more important sometimes. Like, if you can't make it real, at least make it beautiful. Like, at least make it pretty. And they did, so I enjoyed that. Otherwise, there were some odd, small couple of moments that were really enjoyable. The gore in this episode was surprisingly good. I don't know if it's because now I was able to watch this show in much higher quality, because before that, because of my slow internet connection, I only watched it at like 480p, maybe 720 sometimes, I don't know. But this time I watched it in 1080p, and like the gore looked so good, and I love that. Like, especially that moment where the Dario and Carol, I think it was, set up a trap on the stairs, which was like a nail bomb or something, and one of the whisperers fell into it, and his face was all covered in blood, and half of his mask was torn off, and he had a nail in his eye. That was really gross, and I love that. Another good moment I think that I definitely should talk about is Beta's death, I guess. Again, it was a very quick death. I don't necessarily mind the quick death. I think it's not bad, especially considering the fact that, I mean, in the last like 4 or 5 years, like in the latter half of this series, The Walking Dead has been really drawing out the deaths. Like, not every character needs to get a fucking monologue or an episode in which they die, you know? Sometimes it just has to happen like that. And yeah, I don't necessarily hate it, but it definitely probably should have been a little bit longer. Like, it doesn't have to be like 20 minutes of fighting or anything like that, but 10 seconds is way too short. It's like, as soon as the scene starts, it's already over. Like, I love how Negan says, "Hey, shithead." Like, that is fucking badass. I love that. That's cool. But then Daryl just comes in, kind of slashes towards Beta. I don't even feel like he hits him, and Beta turns around, and then Daryl stabs him in the eye. And yeah, the following sequence, in which Beta imagines stuff and sees his past and everything, I love it. Like, that is really good. But the death shouldn't have been this fast. I feel like maybe they could have stretched it a little bit more. Like, I'm not even asking for like 2 minute fight or anything like that, like similar to what we got in Fear the Walking Dead's first episode of season 6, but it could have been at least like even 10 seconds longer. Like, maybe have Daryl have a couple of swings against Beta, and then Negan has to save him as well. Like, I don't know, it was way too fast. It was way too fast. It didn't have to be super drawn out, but it didn't also have to be this fast, you know? But yeah, overall it was a good episode. Probably, I mean, it's on the latter, I would say it's one of the better finales, but yeah, you know, let me think about it. Season 1's finale is not bad, but not my favorite, really. It doesn't really feel like the same show, if you ask me. Season 2's finale is pretty dope. Season 3 finale is underwhelming. Season 4 finale, a little slow, but not bad. Season 5 finale, kind of interesting, but I'm not sure really. Season 6 finale, very, very controversial. Season 7 finale, pretty good. Season 8 finale, kind of boring. Season 9 finale, pretty interesting and unique. And Season 10 finale, I would say it was kind of average. Like, it wasn't bad, it wasn't amazing, it was kind of just there, I feel like. But yeah, I still enjoyed it. Like, when I watched it, I enjoyed the episode. I was super into it. It's definitely like afterwards, in like the following days, thinking about it a little bit more, I feel like there wasn't as much stuff in it as I thought initially, but it was still a good episode, and I enjoyed it. So yeah, I think I'm gonna give this episode honestly an 8.4 out of 10. I think that's pretty fair for this episode. It wasn't amazing, but it wasn't terrible. Like, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it quite a lot. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. My thoughts on the finale. As I said in the beginning of this video, if you're interested to hear my thoughts on Fear and World Beyond, subscribe to the channel. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe. Also, check out the link in the description to my Twitter if you want to follow me there, and to my Wattpad where I post my stories, because in addition to doing all these videos on my channel, I'm also a writer. And if you end up enjoying my stories over on Wattpad, or you simply enjoy my videos, you can head over to Patreon where you can pledge your support and help keep the channel going. It helps support me so I can keep writing the stories you enjoy. And still, if you don't want to do it, that's completely fine. You can still help me out in other ways, like liking this video, subscribing, and especially sharing this video with somebody who you think might enjoy it. And I think it's pretty much it for this video, so hopefully I'm gonna see you in the next one. Bye! Come on and get your